What are these extras? Huh? Oh. We good for YouTube and everything? We good? Is it like that? I'll be on.
Good evening. Thank you for attending our meeting tonight. This is the call to order for the Village of Salado regular Board of Aldermen meeting located at the Salado Municipal Building, 301 North Stagecoach, Salado, Texas. The date is March 7th, 2024, and the time is 6:30 p.m. Ms. Bean, will you please call the roll?
Mayor, I'm going to do that on behalf of the city secretary, so to protect her voice from getting worse. So, Mayor, you have a quorum. All members are present.
All right, at this time, we'll move on to the invocation. We'd like to take a few minutes out of our busy schedule and go to our Lord in prayer in any form or fashion that you would you're comfortable with. So please pray for the village and pray for our government. Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and salute to the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. At this time, the microphone at the podium is open for anybody that would like to comment and provide citizens communications. Please approach and provide your name and your address clearly. Item number 2 is the consent agenda. A, approval of minutes of the Board of Aldermen meetings on December the 21st, 2023. January the 18th, 2024, February the 1st, 2024, February the 8th, 2024, and February the 15th, 2024. Ms. Debbie, you've been busy, haven't you? Item B, approval of the removal of former village administrator Don Ferguson from all village bank accounts. Item C, approval of text pool resolution amending authorized representatives with Manuel De La Rosa and Christy Stegall. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve consent agenda as written.
Okay, motion to approve, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Bell. Any discussion?
Question.
Questions called by Alderman Graham. All in favor of approving the consent agenda say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. That carries 5-0. Item 3 is non-applicable. Number 4 is the status reports. A, Mr. Manny is the village administrator's report.
Go to the next slide, yeah. And go to the next one. Okay, Mayor and Alderman and guests, I'm going to give you an update on the Pace Park All Abilities Playground project. We are nearing the completion of the phase of the project in accordance with the grant with the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. So meaning that you front the money and you get reimbursed. I've had some questions, some concerns from some of the aldermen. I've addressed those, I think, satisfactorily. If not, we can go those over this evening. One of the things that you're going to see is the fall surface between the new playground and the fall surface to mulch in the old playground. And the reason there's this dip is so that the mulch does not wash over into the new fall surface. There's no real way to correct that without having had a separate border or some other way. So it's the best way that they can. So I actually met with the TDLR representative for the RAS, which is the Americans with Disability Inspector. I met with the architect, the general contractor, the site superintendent, and myself. So we looked at some of these areas. When we did this walkthrough about 2 weeks ago, there was no walkway from the new fall surface to the men's restroom, and the area right outside of the women's restroom had earthen. There was no rock, nothing. So they actually had to pour concrete and level that area off. So a lot of those items have been addressed. I did meet with the Parks Advisory Board this week. They had some concerns. We went back to the contract. We went back to what was approved. So, and there may be other phases in the future, and we'll address whatever those concerns may be in the future, or how else they want to make improvements to that park. What you see up there is an 18 inches by 24 inches sign that's going to be posted. This sign, just like the sign that was there at construction, is required by the Texas Parks and Wildlife. To get the village's logo on the top right-hand corner was a 2-week approval process through the state. So I figured that if we were going to put that this was also funded by the Texas Parks and Wildlife, that we should at least, there was participation by the village. So there it is. The next phase is meeting the obligations with the agreements with donors and so forth. So that is the next phase that I'm completing, and then we'll, as I get through those, and get the funding form or figure out exactly what I need to get it done and order the plaque, then I will be looking at tentative dates to invite everybody involved for a grand opening type of event. So, but I wanted to kind of give you an update where we were at. We're crossing that finish line at least with Texas Parks and Wildlife grant, and then we'll meet our other obligations. And then the next thing I wanted to discuss was the GIS of the sewer map. I forwarded you an email earlier today. It was an update from MRB Group. That part of the field survey and the implementation is complete. You saw a link. We'll see about putting that link on our website so we make it available. And then that GIS information is going to be incorporated with all of the ordinances that we're working through, annexation stuff. So we have a better map, and I'm hoping that it'll be interactive in that sense also, besides PDF. So, but I wanted to make sure that to give you at least out of the, I didn't put it on there because as you saw that email, it was today. So we're working through that, and I've not had time to actually pull it up and look at it. But not only was our fuel representative and the public works out there, I was in contact with the gentlemen, both Matt and Michael Beach with MRB Group, me in direct contact with them and not through a project manager or the city engineers. So that's coming along. Any questions? That's all I got. I have Mayor and Alderman.
All right. 4B is the police chief status report.
How are we tonight?
Great.
Police department calls for service, we had 17 priority, 1 calls for service. That's actually down a little bit. The total number of calls for service in the month of February was 408. That's down to 450. So shorter month, fewer days. One of the things I did notice about the days of the week, we're starting to get a little bit more calls for service on our Saturdays and Sundays. I believe that's because we've got some events coming on the weekends. It's starting to get nicer weather. So we're actually sliding some more of our coverage a little further back into the weekend rather than have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays covered. We're sliding the coverage for starting actually a little bit further back so that we have an extra body here to assist on the weekend time. Time of day, we did see a little spike around the 9 a.m. time frame. I don't know how to explain that, but it did go up around the 9 a.m. time frame. Other than that, calls for service for the time of days have been pretty steady. We did have 3 arrests last month. One was a DWI. The second was a driving while intoxicated with a VAC of over 0.15. That was in conjunction with a traffic accident. And then we did have 1 traffic accident that resulted in a charge of UCW for unlawful carrying of a weapon. Total of 23 incidents that we took reports for, 18 supplement reports. The majority of those were for evidence disposals. We did have 18 crashes, which is actually down. I credit that with the lack of rain that we had for February. It was a little bit drier. Traffic enforcement, we're sitting at about 41.5%, 41.5%, which is right about where I like to see it. Sometimes we drop a little low, sometimes we get a little ahead of ourselves, I believe. But 41% is right about where I want to see it. Assist other agency calls, we had 11, and we did attend 1 grand jury. Response time. That is not 173 and 51 seconds. That's actually 17 calls for service. 3 minutes and 51 second response time. That's about as good as we can get. We've had them a little bit lower, but I will tell you, we've had an officer that was injured. I've been working some night shifts, and to go from Mill Creek out to the interstate, which is dark outside, is not a 3 minute and 51 second drive. So with that being said, when I first got here, I remember saying that 4 minutes was unacceptable. We're 2.4 square miles. We should have that closer to 2 minutes. Now that I worked a couple of midnight shifts, I apologize. 4 minutes is actually a really good response time. House watches stayed the same. We had some added on. We had some dropped off. But we're staying right around the 50 to the 50 number house watches. Block report. We had 43,966 unique plate reads over the last month. We did not retain any of those for investigations. We did get 66 alerts. We did access it 3 times, and the 3 times were once for a suspicious vehicle, just to determine which direction and where it came from and where it went to. And the second one was in association with a criminal mischief to determine if there was actually a crime that had been committed on that. But there were no plates retained for investigations during those reviews. Again, 43,966 plates were read. We did delete 39,515 from the system. So we're actually getting more. There was a time when we were deleting more than we were getting in, and now I believe that the weather's warming up. We're starting to get more people to town, so we're starting to see a little bit more plate reads. This is the flock daily report. Far left is February 1st, far right is March 1st. You can see the normal spike during the week, and then it drops on the weekends. It's not dropping as low as it was, if you remember from the last couple. We were dropping, at one time we were dropping around 600. Now it's still a little bit more than that. I'd like to see it kind of pick up a little bit more on the weekends if we can get some more events going and things like that. We do have a little bit of department news. It's my honor to say that Sergeant Dungy has been accepted to the Bill Blackwood Law Enforcement Management Institute of Texas. That's the Leadership Command College. I graduated from LCC in 2017. It's a 9-week program, 3 weeks at Texas A&M University, 3 weeks at Texas Woman's University, and 3 weeks at Sam Houston State University. For lack of a better term, it's the Texas version of the FBI's National Academy. That's where he's going to learn to be my replacement, hopefully. Like I said, we had an officer injured, Officer Bolton sustained an off-duty injury, which will be out until beginning of April timeframe. We have maintained 24-hour coverage during this time. It's been a little difficult. So when we start doing budgetary talks, we just want to plant that seed now. There's probably a good indication that I'm going to be asking for a couple more bodies, at least 1 more body. Speaking of 1 more bodies, Cadet Manning, he's doing really great in the Temple Academy. He has a 95.799 academic average, and even though that's a 95.799, he's still number 11 in the class when it comes to academics. But that's still a pretty good average. For physical fitness, he's got a score of 88, puts him number 2 out of 21 in the class. I was really hoping we could get that number 1 out of 21 in the class, but apparently there's a retired Navy SEAL that's in the class right now. So I'm going to be okay with number 2. And then also, while he's been there, he has been promoted to the cadet squad leader for his squad in the academy. So I'm pretty proud of that.
Any questions to the chief?
I've got a couple. Chief, are we patrolling out 2843?
Yes, sir.
I guess in the morning times. How many tickets have we written out there?
That I couldn't tell you. I know John Oster has been out there multiple occasions and has been writing both warnings and citations.
I've gotten 2 phone calls over the past week from citizens out in the Springs area. Same thing, speeding, passing in line. I went out there the day before yesterday and had somebody passed over the line curve and I thought I was going to witness a head-on with a rock, a quarry truck.
Yes, sir. That's a very dangerous road, and we are taking enforcement action on it.
And the other thing, one other thing I have is about the 24-hour coverage. I know that that you committed to that, and I appreciate you sticking to that. But I know that you know this. I just want to say it that officer safety is more important than making sure that we have. I don't want your guys and girls to be exhausted or tired out there. You out there are tired and you're all the night doing your thing by yourself. So make sure we're getting some rest.
We are getting rest. I'm ensuring that we don't hit the overtime budget too hard. It's easier to move bodies, slide bodies around than it is to just make somebody have to work an extra 12-hour shift. So both myself, I've been covering some days, I've been covering some nights. Sergeant Dunsh's been covering some days, Sergeant Dunsh's been covering some nights. We've had a couple of the officers work full time as well. But it's easier to slide officers than it is to just make it, ask an officer to work an extra 12-hour shift. So with that being said, we've maintained coverage. It worked, but I don't see it working in for months and months and months at a time.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions of the chief? Go ahead.
Yeah, Chief, in your slides, you made a comment on the house watches, that some come in and some go out. Are there some of the house watches that are permanently on there?
There are some areas that we permanently watch. Several of the houses that officers have identified as being vacant, we make sure that they stay on the house watch lists. We have, like I said, some that come off, individuals down near Pace Park, several of the individuals, Mr. Rawls off, Slater Creek, is quite frequent on and off. So we do have some that come on, we do have some that come off, and there are several that, maybe 4 or 5 that we have pretty much on there all the time.
Any other questions to the chief? Appreciate you, chief, especially the Clydesdales were great. That was, thank you for hosting that. Okay, great. Item C, Tourism Department report.
So the month of February, we began to look at some of those marketing activities regarding our website and app. That for the month of February, we had 190 total sessions. And that is up from the previous month in January. Also 2,030 page views and 160 total users with 59 new users and 101 from returning users. This just helps us to track and see if people are engaging with our content on our website and our app. Historically, February 2023, we had 160 users. In February 2022, we had 201 users. Here you'll see our login report for the month of February. As we begin to look at this, we're able to kind of begin to look and see which weeks throughout those months are peak weeks that we're having people actually book or book a hotel completely. So if you see zeros, that means that that particular lodging establishment was completely booked for that particular week. In our visitor center, we saw 273 visitors. Historically, in 2003, that was 315. 2022, that was 265. In 2020, that was 343. This month, we welcomed 2 new volunteers, Nate and Lily Kerr, who helped us. We can't do what we do in the visitor center without our volunteers, and so we're very grateful for those who help us out. As we begin to look forward into 2024 and the solar eclipse, things that we have already began to do is to procure portable restroom, hand washing stations, and additional 96-gallon trash cans for the village. We make sure that as we secure these, that we did also secure ADA compliant units as well as standard units, and we've also supplied a map for Main Street. We've started conversations with the Salado Chamber and the Salado Library to begin to try to coordinate those efforts and different events happening throughout the village for that weekend of April the 5th through the 9th. One of those great assets we have is our Salado community calendar. And so as individuals begin to plan or know of other events that are happening that weekend or throughout this next year, please encourage them to go to visitsaladotexas.com and select community events to add that to this calendar. As we look forward, these upcoming events from March the 23rd through the 24th is the Wildflower Arts and Crafts Fair. We have, of course, the solar eclipse. There's also the Sounds Over Salado during the solar eclipse session. We also have Porch and Planet Festival in the month of April. That's also going to be an environmental fair and Cook-Off for Cancer. And then also May 3rd through the 5th, that will be the Cowboy Poetry and Music Gathering here in the Village of Salado.
All right, Miss April. Thank you very much. Any questions to Miss April?
Are community members using that community calendar? Are you seeing?
Absolutely.
That cook-off, right? So that's a barbecue cook-off, right?
Yes, sir.
And it's just kind of like last year's, where you buy a ticket and you go around and get samples for everybody.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun last year.
Any other questions to Ms. April?
Also, during that solar eclipse weekend, those particular porta potties, washing stations, those will be serviced twice during the weekend to definitely make sure to be accommodate for the impacted individuals.
Well, it's a sad time, Miss April. That was your last update for the Village of Salado. And understand your last day is Monday. I just wanted to say a thank you for your service to the citizens of Salado, and you've been a joy to work with. And I think you put your stamp on the tourism and marketing here in Salado. So we appreciate your hard work and everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like to return to item number 1. I had a late arrival for citizens communications. Mr. Grace, would you like to get up and visit?
Hello, Mayor, Alderman. Thanks for allowing us to be here to speak. I am Bill Grace, Mustang Creek Ranch, not to be confused with Mustang Springs, 125 Mustang Creek Road. For approximately 3 weeks, Mustang Springs has been mining what appears to be road base on lots 57 through 61 on phase 1 of the same area where the developer had previously illegally, without permits, constructed a rock wall of dirt boulders bordering Mustang Creek, and that diverted the natural flow of historical water flow into Mustang Creek. Per the Village of Salado, as of yesterday, March 7th, the developer has not been granted one permit, or has been granted one permit for design site prep for grubbing, site prep, and clearing. They have mined, removed unknown thousands of metric tons of limestone, processed it into what appears to be road base. This is in that same area that we were having some problems. The road base is being moved continuously around the clock, 7 to 5, approximately northbound towards phase 2. It is like 2 giant, big, huge dump trucks, huge mining equipment, very noisy. We are confident the Salado Village has not inspected the site nor is aware of the mining activity. We are extremely concerned about the environmental impact to Mustang Creek caused by this byproduct of unpermitted, unmonitored mining site. A crushing mine may cause a violation of the Clear Water Act, as of a byproduct will certainly end up in Mustang Creek and flow east toward the tributaries, including Mustang Springs or Salado Creek. We are requesting formally that the Village of Salado hold the developer accountable for the following, follow the proper permitting procedures for the city county ordinances. The developer unchecked disregard to the Village of Salado continues to be an ongoing problem for this community. This is not site prep. It's not grubbing. This is a mining operation. The mining equipment, it's humongous equipment that's just tearing up the rock and turning it into what appears to be road base. And it's routed to the north. The other thing I'm concerned about is that we have a permanent easement that goes through their property, and they're planning on changing the permanent easement. And we are concerned about how that easement's going to affect us and how we're going to be able to get to our property. We have not been contacted by Kirby, seen plans or anything like that. We just saw the plans yesterday on what's kind of what they're planning on doing. That's going to make it hard for us to get to our 2 homes. So hopefully hold you guys accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grace. Appreciate that. All right, returning to item 5A, discuss and consider possible action approving items to be sold at auction. Mr. Manning?
Mayor, Alderman, we started doing an inventory of the extra items that are in our storage shed that are serving no purpose. Some of it is equipment, some of it is other items. We've behind the agenda item, you'll see a list of items that we started compiling together. We didn't provide you serial numbers or anything like that. Ms. Bean does have that information. We just give you a brief description of what's there as we inventory all of these assets that are within our storage, but serve no useful life to us any longer. So we seek your approval and being able to, and moving forward with disposing of these items in accordance with any disposal requirements.
All right, any questions to Mr. De La Rosa?
And I believe you used a former gentleman by the name of Bill Hall that does the auction for us. I think he's local, so Ms. Bean has been in contact with. He actually reached out to me early on, but since Ms. Bean's been back, she's helped compile this list, working with Renee Richardson out in the field. So just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Does this complete your inventory of items that you want to get auctioned off, or is
Not
this a
hardly.
continued work in progress?
It's a work in progress.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions to Mr. De La Rosa? Anybody care to present a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve item 5A as written.
There is a motion to approve. We have a second.
Yes, sir.
Alderman Cox. Any discussion? Question called by Alderman Henry. All in favor of putting those items up for auction as presented, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. That carries 5-0. Item 5B, discuss and consider possible action appointing an alternate representative of the Village of Salado to serve on the Bell County Public Health District Board of Directors.
Mayor, I'm going to
Mr. De La
turn that over
Rosa.
to Alderman Henry since he was contacted and he's your primary representative on that board.
Alrighty.
Thank
Alderman
you.
Henry.
I received a phone call from Jennifer Easter, who is also a representative, a Bell County representative of the Bell County Public Health District Board of Directors, and she was asking about our alternate. We don't have one at the moment, and she, with the utmost enthusiasm, nominated Ms. Christy Hurst. Her resume is attached, and I don't know if you want to have any questions for her, but she's highly qualified. I'm the rep. She's more qualified than I am, but she's eager to jump in there.
All right. Any questions to Alderman Henry? Would anybody care to present a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve item 5B as written with the applicant that applied.
Alderman Howard has made the motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Henry. Any discussion?
Mayor, if I may, Mayor and Alderman, when I spoke with the Bell County Public Health, I can't recall the person that actually called me back to confirm that Alderman Henry was the primary. So as of January, that's when they officially accepted your appointment for 2 years. So if you go through this nomination and approve it, that nomination starts, or that appointment will start when it's approved by you, and it's for a 2-year period starting now. Okay, just wanted to make sure that got in the record. Thank you.
All right. So this motion is for a 2-year period. Okay. Any other discussion? Question has been called by Alderman Henry. All in favor as presented, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. It carries 5-0. Item 5C, discuss and ratify approval of memorandum of agreement between the U.S. Army Garrison Fort Cavazos and Central Texas surrounding cities for Central Texas Sustainable Community Partnership expiring the 15th of July, 2034.
The Central Texas Sustainability Communities Partnership serves as a forum to combine regional sustainability efforts to improve the overall quality of life and economic vitality of the Central Texas region and its citizens. Members include Fort Cavazos and the cities of Belton, Coppers Cove, Gatesville, Harker Heights, Killeen, Lampasas, Nolanville, and Salado. The Central Texas Partnership strives to promote environmentally sound practices through events such as Fort Cavazos Earth Day, Gatesville Earth Day, Keep Copper's Cove Beautiful Earth Day Harvest, Nolanville Monarch Fest, Harker Heights Outdoor and Science Expo, and Salado's Porch and Planet Festival, and Colleen's GIS Day. This partnership, this past week, we were able to honor the Salado Native Plant Society as an honoree from this particular group because of their sustainability efforts that they have done, not only in Salado, but also in the Central Texas area.
Right. Thank you, Miss April. Anybody care to have any questions to Miss April or Mr. De La Rosa? Anybody care to present a motion?
Propose we ratify and approve the memorandum.
Okay, Alderman Cox makes a motion to approve the memorandum and ratification. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Alderman Henry. Any discussion?
Question.
Questions called by Alderman Cox. All in favor of this ratification approval of the memorandum, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. Carries 5-0. Item D sort of piggybacks on this, right, Ms. April? Discuss and ratify approval of sustainability proclamation proclaiming April the 2024th as Sustainable Environmental Month. Ms. April?
This is a part of that Central Texas Partnership. By being a part of that partnership, it recognizes April as that particular month. And so we are already participating in the Porch and Planet Festival and the environmental fair that'll also be happening here in the Village of Salado with the cook-off for cancer. And so we're already have efforts that are going forth during that month. And so this is just a part of that partnership.
All right. Any questions to Ms. April? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to ratify the approval of said proclamation proclaiming April 2024 as Sustainable Environment Month.
All right. Motion to approve by Alderman Graham. Do we have a second? Second by Alderman Henry. Any discussion? Question has been called by Alderman Cox. All in favor of ratifying approval of the proclamation, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. It carries 5-0. Item 5E is discuss and consider possible action on approving Bureau Veritas North America Standard Professional Services Agreement. Mr. De La Rosa?
Mayor, and Alderman, Bureau Veritas provides plan review and inspection services to the city, and I understand for a number of years now. Not only have they provided those services, but they also provided some basic civil engineering services when you change city engineers or engineering services. And what I'm asking now is that that be modified to allow for the inspection of fire services. Okay. If you read the agreement, and I think there's a Bureau Veritas representative sitting in the far left corner in the red shirt. And here's part of it. If you look at the online portal for these services, it helps us track the inspections, number of inspections we do in a year, and also anybody that seeks a permit can get a status update. So inspections are done within a day to two if received. They've got some clear guidelines for this. What we've got now is sometimes for a single lot development, for example, a corner lot that is going to connect to TxDOT's infrastructure, right? They're not going to run a conveyance system down a roadway and connect. It's adjacent to the property. It doesn't make sense for us to utilize the services of our city engineers when this company has engineers on staff that can look at that, because it's not a multi-acre or subdivision of properties that requires a great extensive engineering study for drainage. Okay. we still have to comply. But also, the fire inspections that we're not getting, we're currently contracting those services out. And we know that we utilize a gentleman that may be with Bell County or with another local city. And I've had conversations with this person, but I've never met him. But there is no real tracking mechanism of those inspections. This would allow for me to be able to track those within a system, see those inspection reports, see, when they're done. And I also know that the company that they're held to us, some accountability contractually. Okay, rather than, you're our guy and please go out there and look at it at no charge. It's nice to get services that you're not paying for, but you also don't have much of a tracking. So, okay. This does not mean that it's exclusive. We can certainly hire anybody else. And if you look at the terms of the contract, you can terminate with any notice, and you'll see that those are in there. So Bureau Veritas, they certainly would like to do this, but again, there's a cost. As you might recall, we discussed recently that we were going to amend our fee schedule to incorporate some of these costs, because as their rates go up, ours should go accordingly in whatever coverage for our staff. So it is my recommendation that we approve this. But again, before we do that or take it into consideration, if you have any questions for the representative that's here, he's available to answer any questions.
Andy, I don't know that I have questions for him so much as I have for you, and that is this bump due to the increase in scope comes out of our current budget. Would that be correct?
Yes, sir.
And what's the price tag on that?
Well, the prices depends on the services. You already have an agreement, but sometime a few months back, and I'm thinking in the last 3-4 months, you had a rate increase that didn't take into that. So my next proposal of ordinance would be that it incorporates any changes, and contractually, they had to notify you or did notify the village by some means, and it didn't incorporate that change. So you're basically have been subsidizing for that amount of period. I want to incorporate this change so I can get up to speed, and it won't have a fee structure per se. Now, the fee structure is up because Bureau Veritas is a fee structure. Ours will be a percentage above that to cover administrative fees or to the search like. So I can't give you that rough number until I know exactly what you're wanting, and then I send you the new fee structure that you've been doing since before I arrived, Alderman.
Any other questions, Mr. De La Rosa?
I've got one. Is there any dialogue between this organization and ESD1?
No, sir, there isn't, and I will establish that. And here's why. For example, let me tell you about one of the permits that we issued, a burn permit. Okay? Unless you want me going out of the office and looking at it, it should be something that the fire department does. In 2011, we had a relationship with our ESD in Liberty Hill. They didn't even get the permit from us. If we would issue it, we would send it over, or they would get it, or you could go get your permit from them, and we would just for whatever we collected as a service, kind of a one-stop shop. But we didn't perform those inspections, firefighters did. Okay, to get Bureau Veritas to doing something so minor would kind of not make sense, but we can certainly, they would. Because burn permits aren't usually issued today and burned tomorrow. Usually it's weather related. There's a whole list of requirements, not only maybe by ordinance, but TCEQ regulates burning, and so does Bell County. So, to answer your question, I don't believe they do, because they're a company, it's a governmental entity,
Right.
and the relationship should be that the village bridge that and have agreements with at least the ESD when it comes to burn permits, because it makes sense that they're the ones that are going to get the call if that fire gets out of hand.
Right.
And they're very quick to handle that, issue it. And again, that's if they want to do it. But if not, we issue it and we send it over so that they can manage the event, the request.
Okay, so you are working on a plan for the village to bring in ESD1 as it pertains to fire-related items.
I would like to, sir. Yes, sir. And the reason being, I have a fire service background.
Yes.
And I believe in that.
Yeah, and you understand my opinion. I don't agree with us doing business up north when that person's not responding to any fires here.
I understand.
And we have an ESD one with the fire chief.
I'd rather keep it
Okay.
close, and I don't, yeah, I know that we have somebody in the outside that is not from here, another
Yeah.
community, so, but I would much prefer that we have our relationship with our ESC
Yes.
and our consultants.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions to Mr. De La Rosa?
And Chief, I've spoken with Chief Ross. He's amenable to that conversation. He's open to that conversation. They were in the past doing actually issuing the burn permits. I like to see it go back to that. I think there was some misunderstanding or miscommunication previously that stopped that. And then also to Alderman Howard's point, and you have discussed it too, to move forward at some point to have them do our funds.
And I wouldn't mind if the agreement says that a citizen can get the permit here and we forward the funds in the application, or that they get it there and then they handle it. They're the ones providing the service. And I'm not inclined, Mayor and Alderman, that we should charge them for the administrative fee. We do charge Bureau Veritas. That's a business. This is a governmental entity, so I make that distinction between the two. Okay, but I will follow up. And again, I'm trying to make the rounds. I just haven't quite made it there. Any questions?
Any more questions? Anybody care to present a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve item 5E as written.
Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Graham. Any discussion? Questions been called by Alderman Cox. All in favor of approval, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. Item F, discuss and ratify approval of a contract change order number 1 with Royal Vista in the amount of $37,815. Mr. De La Rosa?
Mayor and Alderman, this pertains to Stagecoach Circle drainage improvements. You may recall that I sent you, just like in all of the ratifications, I notify you that that we have something coming up without causing any unnecessary delay. If I can move forward, this is one of those drainage improvement projects to keep the contractor on track. It was lowering a existing 6-inch water main and a 2-inch service line. The Salado Water Supply Corporation provided the specifications for us to protect their line, and as we were installing these drainage inlets that are more rectangular because we maintain the same profile of the elevation of the roadways. So it was in conflict with the 6-inch water line and a 2-inch service main. It was my recommendation that we proceed with that and not have the Water Supply Corporation pay, since we were already there and we wanted to stay timely. And the Water Supply Corporation preferred that we handled it on our end and not them. If not, we would have offered to reimburse them. So again, my recommendation that this change order, the ratification, be approved, and thank you.
Any questions to Mr. De La Rosa? Would anybody care to present a motion?
Make a motion to approve change order.
Motion to approve the change order has been made by Mayor Pro Tem Bell. Second by Alderman Henry. Any discussion?
Question.
Question's been called by Alderman Graham. All in favor of approval of the change order, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. That carries 5-0 also. Item G, discuss and consider possible action on approval paying off the balance of the American National Leasing Company Agreement Number 2927C, Police 2020 Chevrolet PPV Tahoe, with the last 4 of the VIN 7016 in the amount of $9,064.99. Board Chief, you got up here quick. You must be excited. You excited?
I'm always excited, sir.
Okay.
I didn't say don't. Right. Mayor? Sorry. Members of the board, I kind of hinted at this last month when we talked about paying off the previous Tahoe. I talked to Ms. Stiegel in finance. There are funds available in our current budgeted vehicle allowance for capital outlay. And if we make the payment now, we save $313 in interest. The funds are there. There's no more expenditures to come out of that fund, and it will still leave a balance of just under $5,000 in the capital fund for vehicles. We did have a little buffer put in there just because we had invoices coming in that we didn't know how many invoices we were going to have come in, so we had a small buffer. With that, we believe that everything that we've got outstanding has already come in. If we paid it off as of tomorrow, if the check is cut, signed, and sent tomorrow, it'll be $9,064.99. If not, it'll be $9,378 and change. So like I said, use the little surplus that we have there. It doesn't dip into any unbudgeted funds, and it saves us $319 in interest over the long term.
All right, any questions to the chief?
Move to bring this up at the end of the year.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions to the chief? Chief, appreciate you coming here. Would anybody care to present a motion?
Make a motion to approve the payoff as written and for the check to be cut tomorrow.
Alderman, it's already cut and sitting in my office.
Good.
I wasn't trying to be presumptive, but it is secured in my office.
All right, Alderman Graham, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Bell. Any discussion?
Question.
Question's been called by Alderman Cox. All in favor of cutting the check and signing it tomorrow, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. Carries 5-0. Item number H is discuss and consider possible action on a petition for a speed hump on Smith Bluff Road. Mr. De La Rosa?
I'm going to let the chief handle this matter since it's a public safety issue.
I'm back.
All
I'm
right,
really
Chief.
there left, but Mr. De La Rosa was presented with a petition, asked me to look into the possibility of putting a speed bump or speed hump on Smith Bluff Road, due to excessive speeds. One of the first things that I went back and did is I did historical check through our RMS, our record management system. Since January the 1st of 2019, I went back 5 years, we've had 2 reports initiated from that particular roadway. We had 82 calls for service on that stretch of roadway. 39 of those were requests for traffic control due to excessive speeding in the area. There were 11 citations issued, however, only 1 was for speeding, 10% over the posted speed limit. Posted speed limit there is 30 miles an hour, so we're looking at 33 to 35 miles an hour. There have been 3 traffic accidents. The first one was in 2019 as a result of driver inattention. They were coming down Winter Circle, at the left-hand turn, failed to completely stay on the roadway, struck a culvert. The last 2 traffic accidents were actually this year, last year, 2023. One was designated as unsafe speed and driver inattention, and the other was designated as unsafe speed for conditions, because it was wet and dark. So there is a pattern of possible speeding going on in that area. I can tell you that with the 2 accidents, most recent, both of them having unsafe speed listed as a contributing factor, it's probably something that we need to look at. I also went out and walked around the neighborhood, talked to several individuals that live on Smith Bluff. The consensus was that, and I'm trying to word this very carefully. The consensus was that almost every vehicle traveling on this roadway is speeding, most doing 40 to 50 miles per hour. I'm not 100% sure that's positive. I'm not 100% positive that is absolutely correct. However, we did go out and we did a impromptu speed study. It wasn't a full speed study because I was sitting in a police car. There were police down the side, so it wasn't fair. But we did it in 2 1-hour increments from 7:30 to 8:30 one morning, and then from 4:30 to 5:30 one afternoon. The morning session we had a 22.5 mile per hour average, and the afternoon session we had a 20.17 mile per hour again, those numbers will be a little skewed because it's a white police car with police all outside, those lights. Probably not good to use that as an indicator. While I was out there, I also did some measurements on the roadway. From Chisholm Trail to the first inlet, which is Jones Circle, is 218 feet. From Jones Circle to Fairway Circle, 345 feet. From Fairway Circle to Smith Bluff Way, 298 feet. From Smith Bluff Way to the apex of the curve going towards Winter Circle, 288 feet. At the apex of that circle, the road is 23 feet wide. That's not a whole lot of room for cars. That's really not a whole lot of room for cars when you consider there's also pedestrians in that area. And there are no sidewalks. Just up the road a little bit on Winter Circle is 32 feet wide. So you've got vehicles that are coming down Winter Circle that are losing 9 feet of roadway when they enter that area. So, number one, that's going to make cars look like they're traveling a little faster, just because we're going from a wide roadway to a narrow roadway. I'm not saying that they're not traveling faster, but it is going to look like that as well. I'm also contacting Mr. Thomas, the village engineer. You guys got a list of the stuff that he suggested. One was that we conduct a speed study. Conducting a speed study is very expensive. I have some partners just north of here in Belton. They have a $27,000 tractor trailer that they're going to allow me to use. They were currently using it the last 2 weeks doing a speed study of their own. But I have arranged to use it on 14th, 15th, and 16th this month. That's a Thursday, that's a Friday, that's a Saturday. I chose those 3 days because Thursday being a regular day of the week. Friday, there's probably going to be more traffic out. And then also a Saturday, because I want to see what the regions look like as well. So I'll be conducting the speed study on the 14th, 15th, and 16th with the use of a traffic trailer from Belton. Another thing that we noticed when I was talking with the engineers, there are no posted speed limits on that roadway. Now, the prima facie speed limit in the state of Texas is 30 miles an hour in a residential area if it's not posted. So one of the recommendations is that we get some type of posting up there on what the speed limits are. And then some type of traffic calming effect if it's warranted by the study. Some of those could be rumble strips. I will tell you that rumble strips are really good at getting somebody's attention. I'll also tell you that rumble strips are very noisy in the neighborhood. So there's a good and bad side to each of those. Another one is to add cautionary signage. For example, slow, kids at play, things like that. But understand that those aren't regulatory in nature. I can't write a citation for somebody that passed a slow kids at play sign. A third option are the speed feedback signs. They're highly visible. We have one down here at Salado Plaza. Blinks whenever you're going too fast. I can tell you that I've driven down there without a radar and looked at and watched the cars in front of me with it blinking and don't see the red lights. I'm not 100% positive that is effective. It could be effective in the short term, but I believe once somebody becomes familiar with it, it loses its value. At one time we had 2 of those. One was struck when it was on, I believe it was Mill Creek, near Arrowhead. So we actually have one of those now. Those are movable, so it can be placed out there and can be moved back as well. And then the final recommendation would be for an actual speed hump, and that the engineer kind of cautioned against this, stating that this should probably be a last resort after a speed test or a speed survey is conducted, and if it actually would warrant it. But they do cause drivers to slow down. One of the things that he was concerned about is that there are no overhead lighting in the area. There's no street lights in the area. If you put a dark speed hump on a dark road, takes the possibility of somebody hitting it, not knowing it's there, and possibly losing control. I'm not saying they would, but it's a possibility. He also mentioned that there could be some drainage issues as a result of placing a speed hump. I did the final recommendation on, or final reason that the speed hump should be a last resort is, according to the National Association of Cities, City Transportation Officials, they should be placed no more than 100 feet from an intersection. That's why we went out and I gave you those measurements. We're really close to 100 feet on any of those particular locations. However, one of the other ones states that, one of the other indications states that it shall not be placed in front of driveways or areas of significant access. I don't know when the last time you drove down Smith Bluff Road was. There's a lot of driveways. And if the 100 mark between Chisholm Trail and Jones falls where a driveway is, you can't do it. You go a little bit further down, you may be able to. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. My recommendation, I went out there, like I said, after speaking with some of the residents, and I think if we made Smith Bluff Road a three-way stop where Smith Bluff Way comes in, that would have a very traffic calming effect.
You're talking about at Smith Bluff and O.W. Lowry?
Yes, where Smith Bluff Way comes in. Currently, that's a single stop sign on Smith Bluff Way, where T intersects with Smith Bluff Road. If we made that a three-way stop sign, that would require the traffic coming off of Winter Circle to come to a complete stop prior to finishing the route, and that would also slow traffic that are going westbound as well. That would require some additional signage further closer towards Chisholm Trail and around the corner, just on the other side of the bridge, showing that, hey, there's a stop sign ahead. But I think it's a good option before we start putting rumble strips out that are going to cause excessive amount of noise. One of the other things that I did is I spoke with the fire chief, and he was against speed humps. And his main concern was, number one, they're not really good on the fire apparatus. And number two, if they've got ambulances going through there, somebody has an injury. I've ridden in the back of an ambulance, unfortunately, quite recently. They're very bumpy, and you don't want to go over speed bumps or humps or anything else, much less hit a pothole while you're back there. So those are the options. Like I said, I'm open to discuss whatever you'd like to discuss about it. But my recommendation would be to change the intersection of Smith Branch Road and Smith Branch Way to a three-way stop. Start there and then take further action based on the results of the speed study if it's warranted.
Mayor and Alderman, a three-way stop sign may not require a full-blown traffic study. It may just require a transportation engineer just certified, because then you're going to attach that certification that it's been reviewed to an ordinance. You need an ordinance for the placement of a stop sign, because if somebody gets a citation for a stop sign, for running a stop sign, it gets challenged in court, and you posted a stop sign for whatever the reason, and if it's not a valid reason, or you didn't pass an ordinance for it, the case gets thrown out. So, I mean, there is a process to getting it done. It's probably the best one at this point. It's a good traffic calming measure without going from one, as you look at other options and you determine whether this works or not, whether the residents like it or not, if it works for them or not, before we look at other measures. So.
Hey, Chief,
Yes, sir.
so you've got about 1,000 feet between Chisholm Trail and Smith Bluff Way on Smith Bluff. Do we have an idea where the speed is taking place? What I'm getting at is, if you put a three-way stop there, what if the speeding is happening on one side or another of that, and that three-way stop doesn't do anything to mitigate where those issues are or are not taking place?
And I can see that, and to be 100% honest with you, I'm not going to know that until we do the speed study. And the traffic trailer that I'm going to borrow from the Belton Police Department will tell me the direction of travel, it'll tell me the time, the date, the speed, it'll automatically calculate the 85th percentile for you. It does a lot of the calculations for you, and it also doesn't say police recall down the side.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I think it'll be a more accurate depiction of what's going on. The tractor trailer will be placed there Thursday morning. I will pick it up Thursday evening, probably 7, 8 o'clock in the evening. Bring it back, charge it up. Once it can go approximately 48 hours on a full charge. So when I put it out on Friday, it'll be out Friday morning, all day Friday, all night Friday, all day Saturday, and I'll pick it up Saturday evening.
Okay, and then the data from that would be the determinant of whether the three-way link in or not, potentially. Because, I mean, Paul and I drive this every day, and, I mean, I'd tell you that the speed really is, seems to me, come ripping down off of Hester through Winter Circle to where it ties into Smith Bluff. You got that hill and that curve.
And again, I can see that because the roadway up there is 32 feet wide.
Yeah.
It appears that you have more room, and then all of a sudden you are now 23 feet wide.
You have to slow down Smith Bluff because if you don't, you're gonna hit a brick mailbox on the side. You have to. Really? Yeah.
I got a question. The stop, the freeway stop, that actually would be right in front of your house. So. This is right.
One of the two houses that is directly to my house.
Yeah.
Down the street,
Yeah.
there's one at my house, one at the house.
They came down that road.
There's one path, they went down the road, walk the road, south side road, got the vehicle off. And in my yard, they hit my house, my back over the stop. It would go so fast, it's fast.
Yeah.
That's the last, all the way, all the way.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
It's scary.
Chief, is there anybody else in here that's a petitioner on this, would like to speak? Okay.
This wasn't the speed on my road, basically quite the only reason that I did this in January, all 19 days of speed issue. I actually had it written up. The city, the place, the manager that I investigated, couldn't make the speed on that. Ultimately, the decision was decided for years. But 19 people also get speed problems. 18 people, yeah, points that being.
Sir?
yeah. I complain about that all the time. It's very dangerous. I walk on that street. It's narrow. It's like most of the other streets in town.
Yes, sir.
So,
Any-
Chief,
Anybody else who would like to speak? All right, Alderman Cox, you had a question or a comment?
yeah, I mean, what I'm hearing, and I drive that route every day. I don't know what you're talking about.
I drive a white Mercedes, but I'm not on that road that much.
No, no. But I think the combination, what would you name, the combination of the three-way stop and some postings going both directions, and even up on Winter Circle somewhat, because even I live at the top of that hill, and, you know, once they turn that corner, they hit the pedal. And that going downhill, there's no way, if there's some congestion right below there, around that curve as you come down, that's gonna be, I'm surprised something major has not happened there. There's no way they can stop.
And yes, like I said, the initial recommendation is that we do the three-way stop. I believe that will have a traffic calming effect. It will at least make people slow down to a stop before they continue on the straight portion of the roadway or around the curve. And then we do the speed study, and then we address any outliers that need to be addressed. Whether that is, maybe we do need to put rumble strips east of the bridge on Winter Circle. Maybe we might need to put rumble strips halfway down between Fairway and Jones. There are other options, but this is a good step forward. I believe it will have a traffic calming effect. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, we can reevaluate and we can take a more aggressive approach.
So Chief, just so I'm clear that I'm understanding your approach, speed study based off of the Borough speed wagon, and then based off the data from that, the three-way stop, or both done simultaneously?
I would actually recommend the three-way stop outright, just because even if it just shows that there are many cars speeding, there are several cars speeding, it's going to have a traffic calming effect by having the stop sign there. And then I would base further recommendations on the data achieved during the speed study.
What about the speed limit signs you talked about at each end of that section?
I
Would
think
that be helpful?
that should probably be a mandatory.
And we limit to make it 25 miles an hour like the rest of the streets in the village?
Well, we can't do that without actually having a speed study and that actually have TxDOT's approval. You can't lower the speed limit without TxDOT's approval. However, you can put a stop sign up without TxDOT's approval.
Yeah.
So the speed limit signs of 25 that are on Chisholm Trail. Isn't that the right, that's the speed on Chisholm?
Correct.
Were those done as a result of the speed study?
That's what I couldn't tell you that.
Are they, get a ticket off of them? Can you ticket me on the Chisholm Trail if I go over 25 miles an hour?
If it's posted 25 and you go over 25 miles an hour, then yes, you can be ticketed for it. Whether that ticket pulls up in court because the ordinance was changed in conjunction with TxDOT's approval of the speed study, I couldn't tell you
I'm
that.
sure if we went back, we'd see there's been at least one ticket here administered through the courts. That's all done. So I think I'm not fine with the speed study, and I want the speed study. I also recall I'd like to see a 25 miles per hour speed limit on that road to make it like pretty much everything else around it, because people are coming on Chisholm, turning on, and acting on 45 to 30. That doesn't make any sense.
Completely understandable.
And I'm fine with the three-way stop. I'd just like to get
25.
all.
Let them know about the ordinances we found.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. We're gonna need it all in an ordinance once that's done, right?
When we look for an ordinance, because I was originally advised that was a 25 mile an hour speed zone. We went and looked for an ordinance, there was no ordinance designating that as a 25 mile an hour speed zone. I don't believe there was an ordinance on any speed zone with the exception of Main Street.
Really?
So, that is not fair game, guys. So, with that being said, there was, that's a deficiency that we did find.
So what I'm hearing is staff's recommending a three-way stop sign and ordinance is posting that speed limit to 25 miles an hour. That's your recommendation?
No, sir. The 25 would be after a traffic study meeting that requirement. We could post a 30 mile an hour automatically, any residential street. And Pace Park is the only one that would qualify for the 20 mile an hour under state statutes or around any recognized park. Okay? So we did a word search and we spent some time going through the ordinances.
Okay. Well, I don't want this to go into ordinance that's reviewed and in committee and, I want to see something done for the folks over here on Smith Branch or Smith Bluff immediately.
Then it'll be done at my level, Mayor and Alderman.
Yeah. I mean, as quick as possible.
We'll get the 30 mile an hour signs up quick. While we do the study, that'll tell us exactly what people are doing anyway. Okay, I gotta buy the signs, get them delivered, and stuff like that.
Stop signs could be put up.
The stop sign, no, that just requires an ordinance. And yeah, and that's pretty, we can have it, that's a pretty basic ordinance and somebody, engineer going, yeah, I can see a reason for the ordinance because there's no real traffic study for that.
So it's March the 7th. And so in 14 more days will be the 21st, so we can have an ordinance ready for signature and approval at that time. Is that
We
right?
can have the first reading in 2 weeks, man. I believe your ordinances require 2 readings. And they're generally not at the same meetings.
I'm not so sure that's quick enough for me.
I understand.
I was understanding that we could go ahead and make a motion, for example, to put a three-way stop in at said intersection, followed by a speed study that, well,
Yeah, the 3-way stop is automatic. The ordinance, the mileage, that'll just be by when you adopt the
okay,
ordinance.
so we can do the action now, followed up by
The action for the stop sign is automatic, yes, sir.
Okay.
I've got a question for Manny or the chief. So the three-way stop sign seems to be a topic of discussion up here by the board. My only concern is when we've added stop signs and we put the flags on them, I still watch people go through them because they're new to them. I've almost been T-boned a few times. My question to you is, do you see value in adding temporary rumble strips to alert the drivers that they're coming up to the stop sign, something to wake them up on the east and westbound traffic flows? Because what I'm concerned about, well, I don't live in that area. I do drive that area routinely. I see kids on bicycles. I see adults on bicycles. I see lots of golf carts. I see people walking. So my concern is until they get used to the change, I don't want an accident because someone is just driving at 7 o'clock in the morning trying to get to work and they're not used to seeing a stop sign there. But if we do some temporary rumble strips to get their attention, something can be removed. Is that value added or is that too much?
It'll certainly get their attention.
Yes. Like I mentioned before on rumble strips, they get people's attention. They're loud.
It's temporary though. I've seen them before. They go in, they put them in the
You
ground.
see them in front of construction.
Yeah, and then they rip them back out, and it's not a permanent hindrance on the homeowners in that area. So just something that says we're changing behavior essentially is what we're doing. So
That we can have happen.
Absolutely.
All right, Chief, thank you. That's great work. Appreciate it. Mr. De La Rosa, thank you. Would anybody care to present a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to authorize Chief to take the necessary measures as discussed. Three-way stop, temporary rumble strip, speed study, 30 mile per hour signs, and then based off of speed study, we can consider the 25 at a later date, followed by the ordinance to bundle all of this up. It's a long motion, but that's it.
Okay.
Did I miss anything, Chief? Okay.
All right, we have motion by Alderman Graham. Do we have a second? Second by Alderman Henry. Any discussion?
Question.
Question's been called by Alderman Cox. All in favor of the motion to authorize Chief to do the temporary rumble strips, the speed study, and the 30 mile per hour signs, say yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Carries 5-0. Chief, better get out there tomorrow and start digging holes, sounds like. Well, we appreciate everybody being here tonight. At this time, we're entering into an executive session. This is going to be, we're going to adjourn into an executive session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code in accordance with the statutory authority contained in Sections 551.071 and 551.087. And we intend to